Well, welcome everybody. It's great to see folks joining in today. Welcome to our Girl Day 2021 high school webinar today. My name is Trisha Berry. I'm director of the Women in Engineering program at UT Austin, your host for Girl Day. And we're excited to have high school programming this year as part of our virtual Girl Day experience. I'm super excited to have some fabulous students from UT Austin joining us today to share with you about their experiences, to share with you a little bit about working in industry while still in college. So I'm going to take it off the share here so you can see all of them. And I'm going to turn it over to our fabulous students from Kappa, Theta, Epsilon, KTE to take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Trisha. Let me share my screen. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Shari. I'm president of KTE. So we're Kappa Theta Epsilon. So we're the Co-op Honor Society, Engineering Honor Society here at UT Austin. So if you don't know what a co-op is, a co-op's just a very long internship pretty much. So like most internships are over the summer, a co-op is spanned throughout the semester. So a co-op can be through the fall, spring semester, or summer. And most co-op students, they'll do multiple sessions. So they'll do 2 or 3 summer tours, 2 or 3 fall semester tours. So people who do co-ops at different companies and organizations, they have a lot of experience, a lot of industry experience they can bring back and tell to others. So our KTE mission is to foster community for returning co-op students and promote doing co-ops throughout UT and other colleges and serve our community. So the plan for today is to do introductions for the panelists, where we worked for and all the interesting projects we've done. And then you'll have the chance to ask us questions about high school, college, or just our work that we did. And then hopefully you'll get some good college and professional career advice that you can use later on. So I can go first. So yeah, like I said, I'm Sharia. So I worked at NASA, Johnson Space Center for the past 2 years, doing a little going there in Houston and being here at school. So I've gone off and on. So I've done about 4 semester tours there. So over 2 years of experience pretty much. And I've done a lot of cool projects, including working on the Orion spacecraft that's going to be sending people to the moon in 2024 and beyond to Mars later on. So you can see here a couple of pictures. I was in the intern rocketry club. So it's filled with interns, and we made our own rocket and we blasted it off into the sky. And we have a parachute, avionics, propulsion system, all homemade. You can see in the middle picture, I'm in the National Buoyancy Lab. If you've never been there, they give tours at. It's a really cool lab. They actually have a whole space shuttle and whole spaceship underwater. And that's what they use for astronaut training and getting used to zero G. And I've also talked to a lot of astronauts and helped them too. So I've done a really cool project. It's a really exciting time for space right now, and hopefully you all can be a part of it too. So next, if Sarah wants to go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Abdallah. I study chemical engineering here at UT, and I'm in my 3rd year. I completed a co-op with Dow Chemical Company in Deer Park, Texas, last spring and last summer, and I'll be going for my 3rd term this summer. And the pictures on the left, I climbed a boiler stack, which is about 150 feet up in the air, and we got a really good shot of the entire plant. And it's plant is not usually a setting that a lot of engineers have a lot of experience in. It's very specialized. So I was really lucky to get the opportunity to work in a plant and see what kind of equipment they have, what kind of processes they do. And in the middle, I'm actually inside of a tank, which was really exciting for someone who's in college to get that experience and understand the equipment inside and out. And then on the right side of the slide, you can see that I was looking at the control board, so you can monitor everything that's happening in a plant. And I'm really grateful for that experience, and I learned a lot. And now I'm taking classes that have direct information that I learned from my plant experience.
Okay, so next, Rohan can go. You want to go, Rohan?
Hi, everyone. I'm a senior at UT Austin, so this is my 4th year, last semester. I did a co-op at Ascend Performance Materials in fall of 2019. And this was kind of a really awesome experience because it was a little bit of a different role than I traditionally am used to. This had a little bit more of a pure chemistry role itself. So I was doing a lot of chemical analysis and working with PhD chemists to kind of create a chemical reaction that we could eventually implement in the plant, and then kind of sell a product so that we can make money as a business. So on the left, yeah, just a picture with the sign. I was working at Ascend Performance Materials at the Chocolate Bayou plant. In the center, that was like a volunteering event that we ended up doing because Galveston is nearby. We decided to volunteer for burn victims at the Shriners Hospital in Galveston. And so we did like an entire STEM workshop day and kind of got these burn victim kids to kind of, experience some STEM work, which is really, really awesome. And then on the right is just me chilling in the control room like Sarah was, just in my special gear. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, like you can see, we have like a multitude of engineers here in KT. So we have aerospace, we have mechanical, chemical, biomedical, environmental. So we have a whole slew of engineers from different walks of life and different careers paths also. So now it's a panel talk. So if anybody has any questions, we would love to answer them. If you want to put in the chat, or I'm not sure if they can turn on their microphones and actually talk to us too. That'd be great. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask? And if not, we can maybe tell fun stories if anybody has any.
So Mubashira put a question in the chat. How did you find your specific co-ops? For me, I found it, I knew what a co-op was, and I knew that I wanted to take time off school to pursue like this extra long internship. And so at the career fairs, which UT hosts every fall and spring semester, you go to companies and you let them know, hey, I'm looking for a co-op position. And that's how I did mine. I found it at a career fair. Sharia, Rohan, did you guys find them also at the career fair?
Yeah, so mine was through a career fair also. So not NASA specifically, but a company that works for NASA was there at our career fair that we have every semester. And they actually recommended me give me a rec letter to Johnson Space Center that I work for now.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to work in NASA, so it was a good offer that happened.
Yeah. So yeah, similar. I think I was working at a similar company, and then a friend of mine told me about Ascend Performance Materials. I ended up applying to their co-op program and getting accepted.
And I think one of the great things about being university is the networking opportunities, where like you just don't learn, but like having career fairs like these, having recruiters come to your university is a really amazing way to like network with these people and get these amazing job opportunities.
Yeah. In non-COVID times, I mean, there were hundreds, almost 1,000 companies that came to career fair. So it's a really, really awesome opportunity to meet a lot of recruiters, get your face out there and kind of just, learn more about what you want to do as a career, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I think we have another question. Before college, what really helped you decide what kind of engineering you wanted to go into, like chemical, mechanical, or aerospace? Do you want to start, Sarah?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was in high school, I was doing a program where I was taking some community college classes. So I was learning about organic chemistry, and like Rohan said, like pure chemistry, that's really interesting. And that really got me thinking about chemical engineering. I don't know, maybe that's it's too much of a like a straight path, like I like chemistry, I'll go into chemical engineering. But that's how it was for me. And I really like the job opportunities that chemical engineering has. You can go into a ton of different fields like pharmaceuticals, food production, manufacturing, specialty chemicals. There's just so much you can do. There are chemical engineers that go off to open up businesses, that go to med school, that go to law school. There's just a ton of opportunities available in the chemical engineering job field. So that's what I did.
For me, I always wanted to go into space, even when I was a kid. You can see my fifth grade yearbook had fifth grade space engineer. as a possible occupation. So I've always wanted to go into space. But the great thing about engineering, I feel like, is even if you don't know what kind of a specific field you want to go into, the engineering's careers are broad enough where like even if you don't know, you can like try different stuff out. So like even in NASA, I tried like structures, navigations, I did software, so I did a bunch of interesting projects and interesting career paths, and finally found one that I liked and wanted to do. So that's one of the good things about engineering is you have very diverse paths to go to if you're not sure what specifically you want to do. Rohani, you have anything?
Yeah, very similar to Sarah. I think I really liked chemistry, in high school, and I was a little bit interested in biology, and I figured, um, applying those things towards chemical engineering, which is a really like versatile major. You can really go into whatever you want to do, graduate school, research. If you wanted to like end up, going into industry, you can also do that. So there's a lot of different opportunities and pathways I felt like I could do through chemical engineering, and I guess I was just really interested in good at chemistry back in high school. So that's kind of where I got my path.
Okay, awesome.
Trisha
I think
sent
Trisha,
us one in the chat. Yeah. What was the most challenging thing that you experienced in your job? For me, there was a lot of skills that you don't learn in school, like how to talk to an engineer, how to work on a team of engineers, that a lot of soft skill things that aren't taught in school. That's something that you have to adapt to pretty quickly once you start co-oping, but it gives you a really good opportunity, like Sharia said, to network with people outside of your domain, outside of your bubble. When you're in college, you kind of talk to the people who are in your class, and my classes are pretty small, so I see the same people over and over again. But when I worked, I'm talking to mechanical engineers, I'm talking to maintenance engineers, I'm talking to operators, I'm talking to directors, I'm talking to all types of people, and that exposure can kind of be a little bit intimidating, but in the end, it's so worthwhile to get your name out there, to get yourself out there.
yeah, definitely I would agree. Like communication skills are very handy that they don't teach you in school. So that's why you should go out to these career fairs and go to workshops or wherever they have, whatever opportunities they have in high school or in university to get those skills, and they'll be good for you in the future for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's different, right? Like if you guys take a speech class in high school or take communications classes in college, I mean, you learn like the basics of communication, but you don't really pick up the skill unless you practice it, start talking to people who do intimidate you, because you need to be talking to those people when you're working with them.
Trisha also had another question. Have you ever experienced
Oh, sorry, I think you cut out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you say it again?
Yeah. So I think Trisha asked another question. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome or like you didn't belong or know enough? 100% definitely, especially at NASA. You can, some of these people are like top of their fields, like, most expertise in the world. So when you go in as a lowly intern, it feels overwhelming that they now have decades of experience compared to you and you feel like you don't know anything. But you'll see when you go into jobs, your bosses don't expect you to know everything, and they know there's going to be a huge learning curve for you. And if you keep patient and keep working at it, 100% you'll get there to the point where you are well crafted in your field of work. So I think everybody experiences it, but if you keep going, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I think like there's a pretty big stimulus coming in, and even graduating for an engineering degree. People think that you have to be a genius, and if you're not, you can't be an engineer. That's not true. That's just simply not true. Um, every day you go there and you learn something, and I think that's a win. Because honestly, the more you learn, the better you go, the better you get in the future, and the more you can help people who are coming up in the next like row of interns or the next people who are starting their jobs.
I would say for me, I did experience a lot of imposter syndrome because I only had taken 3 semesters at UT when I went to go co-op, and that's not a lot of time to learn a lot of technical skills. So when I went, I was kind of like, I don't know what is going on. Why did you guys hire me? But I'm glad you did. And another thing is going back to Girl Day theme, there's not a lot of women who work in a plant. So I kind of felt like, I had something to prove, like women are just as good as men in terms of, work ethic, in terms of teamwork. So I felt like, am I supposed to be here? There's not many girls that like I feel like I can reach out to or relate to, but I quickly learned that a lot of people on my team were super supportive of women in STEM and were willing to help me however I needed to be helped. And I reached out to groups of women, within my company. They had groups of women who could talk about like, what's it like to be a mom and an engineer? What's it like to have a family and be an engineer? Just a lot of resources for me to, understand like how I'm fitting into the picture, because there is not a lot of women in a plant and not a lot of women in STEM, but we're working towards that, and a lot of people are supportive of that along the way.
Definitely. So we have another question from the attendees. Do you have a lighter course load while you're taking a co-op? 100%, yes. So while you're doing a co-op, you are doing 40-hour work week. So it is like a real-time, full-time job. So we do, so UT does offer a co-op course, which you can use towards your technical elective in your college career plan. And I know other schools and other universities actually allow you to take part-time classes too. So, but they're definitely lighter load. So honestly, you'll be taking probably either no classes or 1 or 2 classes at most while doing a co-op, because you are working 40-hour work weeks.
Yep. I think at UT, I don't even know if you're like technically allowed unless you get special permission, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice, especially, you're getting college credit while you're doing a job. So you're getting paid, and you're not only getting paid, but you're getting that experience to use towards your college credit and electives. So it'll help you with your graduation track. Depending on the major, you should look into that before you consider a co-op, because certain majors have certain requirements for the number of terms you need to be doing in order to get an elective credit for that. So for example, for chemical engineering, Sarah and I have to do 3 terms to be able to be eligible to use that co-op for an elective. Whereas like other majors, such as Sharia, might not need to take as many terms.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
have a great co-op office here who help with so many questions. Like I remember before I was deciding to do a co-op, I had like 2 pages worth of questions like, is this right? Like, what is going to happen to my graduation date? Like, what am I going to be doing? Like, I don't really know anything, but they're so helpful along the way, and you just have to reach out and, ask your questions.
Yep. They're here to help you at every step. We have a really great co-op coordinator, Francis. He kind of talks you through everything. You can call him, you can video chat with him, you can go see him in person. And he kind of like helps you orient and navigate what kind of co-ops you need to be doing, when you need to be doing them, and what terms, and kind of like making sure that you're still on track to graduate at a regular time. Because I know a lot of co-ops end up trying to take a little bit longer, or like, you know, still try to graduate on time. It's very possible, but you got to kind of make sure you temper your expectations.
Yep. And I think that goes to the next question. Were there any specific research at UT Austin that made it easier to navigate to and attain co-ops? Yeah, like Sarah and Rohan mentioned, the co-op office is really fantastic at UT, and also KTE, our organization, and we do influence that, and we do recommend people do co-op. So we have a mentorship mentee program that we have where we take in freshmen and sophomore mentees and teach them about not just co-op, but like general communications, resume workshop skills, so stuff like that. And we definitely recommend them do co-ops because they're awesome to do. So yeah, there's a lot of resources at UT Austin specifically for co-ops, and you'll see that a lot of companies in any field, that would be chemical, aerospace, mechanical, etc., will have co-op opportunities for you.
Yeah, and before I took the jump to do a co-op, I actually had a mentor from KTE. They do a mentor-mentee program. So if you're thinking about doing a co-op, not sure what a co-op is, have a lot of questions about what it means, you can get a mentor and ask all your questions to them. And if they don't know the answer, they can direct you to someone who does, because KTE is a club for, it's a network of people who have done co-op. So I had a mentor, and we would meet up for coffee dates, and she would just answer all my questions and, kind of walk me through and be super honest with me. Like, it's not like just rainbows and butterflies. Like, you go off to work and just make a nice paycheck and then it's done. There's a lot of learning that can be uncomfortable at times, but that's when you grow the most. So someone who was really honest with me and who was my mentor and I looked up to her, gave me a lot of great advice about that.
Another question is it easy to switch majors in an engineering field or your first year of college? I would say it's very person dependent and very individual dependent. I think the best thing to do would be talk to your advisor and see what they have to say about the whole issue, because I think it is very individual dependent.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily easy because your GPA has to be super high to kind of navigate within the Cockrell School of Engineering. So I would just talk to your advisor. But yeah, that's the best way to go.
Okay, awesome. Another question: are you involved in other student organizations on campus? If so, what? How do you decide what organizations to get involved with? So I'm not in much anymore because I'm doing KT and I'm doing part-time work right now, so I don't have time. But for sure, during my sophomore and junior year of college, I was in ECHO, which is the Engineering Chamber Orchestra. So I used to play the trumpet back in high school. So I did some of that in my free time. And there's a lot of cool clubs to do. I also did research for drones, so I also did that. So there's a bunch of cool clubs, especially in aerospace, where it's rocketry or UAV or drones. And engineering clubs in general, we have ultimate frisbee, intramural sports like football, soccer. So there's a whole slew of activities and organizations you can join, just not non-engineering, but also athletics and just like art and everything too.
Yeah, and the way you can decide like what you want to get involved in is the first week of school. There's usually like an organization fair. So all along like our main street through campus, there's tables of what organizations there are, and they have flyers, they have people to talk to. I just walk down, I just grab what I think is super interesting. I look at it and I'm like, oh, they have their first introductory meeting this day. Like I'll go and check them out and see what the vibe is. Do I like them? Like, what's the mission here? And yeah, like the first week of school, you'll be trying everything, getting free shirts, free food if we're back in person. And that's the way usually most people get involved. Or like a friend of a friend said this club was super cool, like let's go check them out. I'm involved personally in the Society of Women Engineers, which is SWE, and that's a great resource for me because it's a nice network of women who have gone through what I'm about to go through, who can help me, who give me advice. And yeah, that's the one in engineering I'm involved in. And there's also like organizations within your department. Like there's aerospace organizations, chemi organizations, and etc.
Yep. One big organization that I really liked and been a part of since I was a freshman is called SEEK, Student Engineers Educating Kids. So basically what it does is you get to volunteer 2 hours a week and go out to local Austin community underprivileged elementary schools and middle schools and kind of work with STEM workshops with these kids. And so you kind of dedicate 2 hours a week to volunteer for that. And it's really, really awesome, fun experience. And it's a really cool social organization as well. So like we do kind of a lot of social meetings and like, club hangouts, things like that all the time. And it's a really, really awesome experience where you get to interact with different engineers completely, throughout the entire Cockrell school, whatever age, whatever major, you can interact with a lot of different people. And then you can also, kind of give back to the community and kind of promote STEM in Austin. So that's really, really awesome. And then another one that I really liked was similar to like what Saria was saying. Like I'm involved in a chemical engineering org. It was called Chemical Engineering Car, where you kind of design a car that's supposed to start and stop based on chemical reactions. And you're not allowed to use any like mechanical or electrical components to like start or stop the car. And so that was a really cool like physical application of the things that I learned in chemical engineering. So seeking out those kind of orgs that kind of like pique your interest is really, really awesome. And trying to get involved with that early is the best thing to do. I would say, like, when you're a freshman, you kind of get to experience whatever you want, because all these orgs are looking to get people to join. So it's really an awesome experience to like just go out and try whatever you can.
Yeah. And I'll shout out SWE again. So if the SWE has a lot of high school programs and resources. So if you haven't joined any of them, I would highly recommend. It's a great networking and organization tool to have under the belt. Okay, next question. How has COVID impacted co-ops? Fantastic question. We can all talk about this. So yeah, having a virtual co-op is very much different than having in person. I'll say, for at least for my sake, normally NASA is a very big, it's like a college campus. It's very gigantic. We have acres and acres of land. So we normally have a lot of interns, so about around 100 to 200 per semester. So there's a lot of intern activities in person. So those didn't happen last summer and this summer, sadly. So it's impacted me greatly in that regard. But everybody can still do their business. So luckily, we have Microsoft Teams, we have Zooms, we have socially distanced going into office sometimes too. So I think companies and organizations have done great jobs to like keep us safe and still have us do all the work we have to. So has COVID impacted co-ops? Yes, it's sad that it's not in person and we don't get to meet new co-ops, but I don't think the work has been affected that much, at least in my opinion.
I would say I did my second term co-op in this past summer. So, COVID was in full swing. So I transitioned to working online and I went into the plant once a week. But I would say the workload, my supervisor was really great in coming up with creative projects for me to do. Since a lot of plant work is, going into the field and checking out equipment, and diagnosing problems that way. He came up with a lot of great projects that can be done online, and he always kept me plugged into what's happening inside the plant. And like Shari said, we had a lot of tools to keep plugged in, like Microsoft Teams, and the co-op like program advisor came up with a really great curriculum for co-ops over the summer, since we wouldn't be in person. So we used to have like classes of things I would be learning at UT during like coming from Dow, which was really cool. So they kept the workload very interesting and came up with creative ways to keep it productive, keep it useful.
Yeah, I experienced this similar stuff. In my fall co-op, I was in person actually, so I didn't really have COVID affect me then. But this past summer, I did an internship with Chenier as like a second part of the co-op, and that was completely virtual, which was really, really interesting because my manager had to find creative ways, like Sarah was saying, to like get us all involved to meet on a weekly basis. He kind of had like happy hours going on during the week so that we could kind of all get involved and stay in touch, make sure that we're still talking during this virtual environment. Yeah, it's been a really interesting challenge, really, really, challenging all of us from not even and just the general engineering perspective, but just like, getting through the work day while you're just sitting at your laptop. So.
Okay, awesome. Next question. What are some things you can do to boost your resume early on in college in order to get into really competitive co-ops? Great question. So yeah, like Rohan and Sarah mentioned, and I mentioned too, about clubs are a great way to have on your resume. So, one thing that will always happen during freshman year when you go to your expo for the first time is the recruiter will ask you, well, you're a freshman, so what experience do you have, right? You have barely taken any classes. So if you have clubs and organizations you've already done work for, that's a great way to have a great thing to have on your resume and really get these recruiters talking to you about your projects. And at least for me, another really awesome way at UT especially is research. So I don't know if you knew or not, but UT has some of the top number of published papers per year. So there's a lot of research opportunities at UT. So if you can get talking with a professor and get some research under your belt, especially during your freshman, sophomore year, that's really gonna put you above the rest into getting into these really competitive co-op programs.
Yeah, and I would say based on your degree plan, most people don't do a co-op until kind of until their sophomore year, like their spring or into your junior year. A lot of people decide to do it junior year. So that means you have, at least 3 semesters to, kind of get involved, make a difference on campus. One way to do that is to kind of pursue officer positions in the clubs that you join, and ones that you are really passionate about, because it's going to come across in your interview that like you don't really care, or you actually really do care about what the goal of your org is. So getting involved in officer positions, and also taking on projects within your clubs, even if you're a member. So they have questions to ask you about, like what kind of teamwork have you done, what kind of projects and tasks have you accomplished, and how did you do that. That's really great topic of discussion for job interviews, and that really makes you stand out, that you have experience, not directly in a technical role, like you weren't doing an engineering project, but something that directly correlates to the soft skills that you'll be using in your job.
Yep. Yeah, I think Shara and Sarah mentioned it pretty well. It's your extracurriculars, your leadership skills, things like that. If you can kind of highlight them in your job interviews, you'll do really well. Obviously, make sure that you keep up your GPA, you're doing well in your courses, things like that. Those really matter, because that's like the first kind of way that companies filter out your resume as it goes through the pile. So.
And next question is, looking back at your high school self, what do you wish you knew or did so to prepare yourself for college? And I think this goes back to another question about what are some things you recommend for high schoolers to do in order to better prepare them for engineering and college in general. So one thing I would say to better prepare yourself is there are a lot of university opportunities, especially for research and clubs in high school you can do. I know, at least for UT, when I was doing research, we always took in high schoolers who wanted to do research over the summer, and that looks fantastic on a high school resume to do. So I wish I knew to do that back in high school, because it would have been great for college. So I would say that. And I would also say having extracurriculars on your high school resume is great too, not just like STEM related, but when recruiters are looking at your resume from high school to college, they're looking at it holistically, so if you were in band or athletics, you have time management skills on your hand. You can manage doing classes and doing this other very extensive activity. So having extracurriculars that are not just STEM looks really good on a resume too. Just makes you look like a very well-rounded person to the college recruiters.
Yeah, and going off of what Sharia said, having things that don't directly correlate to your major in college is important, I think, because it shows that like you're passionate about something and willing to dedicate time to do that. And colleges don't want someone who's kind of only a one-track mind. They want someone who can think creatively, who can use that other side of their brain, not just what directly correlates to problems, because being creative can help you in problem solving. So they want to see a really well-rounded person. I would also say that something I wish I knew is, or kind of like some advice I wish someone had given me, was that when you go to college, it's expected and completely fine that you don't know what's going on. Like there's so much going on your first semester, your first year of college. You're learning to live by yourself. You're learning how to make friends that, you don't see in a classroom every single day, like from, 8 to 5 or 8 to 4. So learning so many skills, so many soft skills that don't come from the classroom or don't come like previously in your life. There's a lot, and you kind of give yourself some credit for that. And pursuing a STEM field is hard. The course load is pretty hefty. So give yourself a break. You're doing your best and you're learning a lot, and there's a learning curve to it.
Yeah, I definitely would say like the biggest thing that I wish that I knew and also like prepared myself was like improving my time management skills. I would say, I think like in high school, there was definitely like a lot of times where I was able to procrastinate and get away with a lot of stuff, but I don't think it's possible in college. Like I'm gonna be honest, in college or like in a co-op, it's just not possible. you're going to have to stay on top of your stuff. And if you don't stay on top of your stuff, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to hang out with friends, to be social, to do things you really want to do. Right. So, that's something that I really learned pretty early. Started setting up a Google Calendar or like some sort of way to like determine what important due dates there were, what were important midterm dates, and kind of just like plan my schedule around that. So like this week is going to be really heavy. I'm going to be able to like hang out with some friends on a week before or after, but I got to make sure that this week I study really well or something like that.
Okay, awesome. Next question. Looking back at your first year self, is there any resources or anything like that that you wish you knew about or have done earlier? So I would say one resource that I could have done during my first year of college is mentorship mentee program. So it's not just KTE, but a lot of engineering organizations have mentorship mentees. Like Sarah mentioned, freshman year can be a fluster where like you have so many questions, it's very overwhelming. And having like a mentor to like ask like, not just STEM questions, but general college questions can be really helpful and really sit you down and like put you on your feet. And instead of taking like, the whole freshman year to, get the lay of the land, you can do it within the first couple months and really improve your grades and really give you the time and opportunities to do other activities. So one thing I would highly recommend is if there are mentorship mentee programs during your first year of college, take advantage of them because they will help you in the future.
I would say even like you don't even have to be that formal. Like that's amazing that there's so many organizations that offer mentee mentorship programs. But even within your major, you can just reach out to people who are older than you. People who are older than you like have so much advice. So there's a lot of like common spaces for studying. And you'll see people who are older than you and you can ask questions. People are super open to giving advice to people that they don't know. Like it's not like a weird thing or anything at all. So I would definitely say like the people who are older than me gave me so much advice about like what I should do, like all the questions I had. Which really helped me to like adapt a lot quicker. We haven't been in school for a week, you can tell. I would also say like working in groups with people in your class is really helpful because struggling together makes it feel like it's not that bad. Like, especially like when you come to college, you're like, everyone is so much smarter than me. Everyone has their life together. Like I'm the only one who doesn't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. Like I can tell you your first week, your first year, your first month, like everyone is just like cruising by, like I don't even know what's going on. So finding people who are kind of in the same boat with you, which is everybody, makes things feel a lot better.
Yeah. I think one really big thing about engineering is you can get involved in a first year interest group or a FIG. So I think that's something that I wish I had taken advantage of. I don't think I was able to join a FIG because of my schedule freshman year. But if you are, definitely join a FIG because that's a really awesome experience where you get to like get someone who's an upperclassman to kind of work you through FIG and kind of help you with homework, things like that. And then also like you get to kind of develop some inbuilt friends because you have to meet with your FIG group every week. So you get that really cool opportunity to like interact with your friends and then also like, kind of develop some early study habits in college.
Awesome. Yeah. Any more questions? Doesn't have to be just about college. You can ask about our work. Like I work at NASA, then you can work any other chemical engineering or mechanical engineering questions you have, classes we've taken, or just how UT is in general. We'll be frank with you. No questions. Anybody have a fun story to tell from their co-op that they want to share?
Yeah, I can talk about like the picture you saw, like I don't know if you remember the slide where I was like on top of the tower and you could see the entire plant. I'm like super afraid of heights. I hate heights. But I was like, you know what? I'm a co-op. I'm a big girl now. Like this is, I'm getting paid to do this. This is time and money. Like, so me and my supervisor climbed it and it took us like I want to say like 20 minutes to climb it because I was getting like, I was like, I don't know if I can do this like every few steps. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need to go back to school after this. Like, I need to be alive for that. Yeah, which is the picture on the left you see on the screen. But it was actually really fun. And I learned something about myself. I can do it. I learned something about myself that if I put my mind to it, I can do it. And it was a good time. What you will find is like in co-ops, like there's a lot of things that you think you can't do, but like if you reach out, like if you find the resources too, you can do it. Like not just climbing, but you know, anything, like any engineering project.
Awesome. I can tell you a little story about it. If you see this picture, like I mentioned, this is the neutral buoyancy lab. And if you've been there, if you take a tour here, it is a huge pool, much bigger than an Olympic pool and a much deeper. Like I mentioned, there's a whole spaceship in the pool and they use it for astronaut training. And then we actually took it for a night, like when everything was closed, and we put up a green screen and we had a movie night. We watched Apollo 13. We brought a popcorn machine and everything. So that was like amazing experience because we pretty much had the whole facility to ourselves. And this is where like all astronauts train. And there's a huge spaceship in the water too. So it was really cool. And I'll tell you something scary that happened to me. I actually brought my own Coke there, and you're not technically supposed to have liquids there, but we were having movie night, and I almost accidentally dropped my Coke into the pool. And if that did happen, they would have had to drain the whole pool, and I would have gotten into a lot of trouble. So it's a good thing that didn't happen. So good scares, but it did scare me a little bit. Thanks so much for coming, and it's been great to do, and we'll have another one of these in Thursday too.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for listening to our TED Talk.
Yeah, there will be UT Girl Day events all throughout this week and next week. So make sure to listen in, not only about industry, but about college in general, about a lot of great topics. So just tune into those, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great talking to everybody. Thanks.